Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you are in the world. This is your boy JJ right here once again. We're going to get the B-roll started. So do stick around. We got something for you, something. So do stick around right here on JJ's PC Builds. And welcome back. Welcome back. Before we get it started, make sure y'all like and subscribe. We're still working towards the 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 video hours, so like and subscribe would be much appreciated. Watch the videos from beginning to end. You know, it helps out the channel and helps us grow, helps everybody here. And I want to welcome again we got some new subscribers, 3 new subscribers. Welcome to the family. Just to let you know, welcome right here to JJ's PC Builds. And here's the family. We're going to keep growing and growing and growing as we keep going and going and going. But anyway, let's get the party started with a little bit of action today. We're going to be talking about I think we already captured it on previous videos about the RTX 4070 Ti, you know, and the 4060 and the 4050 and probably the 4030. Who knows what it is now? But a lot of people, you know, are saying that, you know, that they're going to be buying the 4080 Ti or the 4080. Who knows what it is now? I'm so confused, it's unbelievable. But don't get it wrong, I'm not that confused. But the RTX 4080 looks like everybody's going to be buying it because they say that the RX 7900 right there, the RX 7900 from AMD isn't good enough, and it's not matching good enough to the RTX 4080. Well, you know what? Look at it this way. A GPU is a GPU, okay? You want to get down to the brass ball tacks of it, a GPU is a GPU, okay? As long as you can game with it and you're happy with it, it's a GPU. Okay, you got enthusiasts. I know there's enthusiasts, and you know there's people that, you know, show the videos on these new products and stuff like that. You got your reviewers. That's called your reviewers, and everybody else. But the thing is this. A GPU, and I'm going to explain this to you. Usually a GPU, you can get between 3 and 4 years out of it, or maybe more. You got some GPUs out there that's got about 16 years on it, 15, 12, you know, got many years on it. That they're still playing the games. But those are not coefficient enough to today's gaming. And I think what it is everybody looks at the today's gaming instead of looking at the big picture to where you get one GPU that you're going to be happy with. Not what's going to please everybody else. It's what you're happy with. Now, if you're happy with let's say you got an RTX 2080 and you're happy with it, then be happy with it. You know, I mean, I look at it like, you know, trying to save the consumer money. You know, in order to save you money, you look at the discrete graphics cards as when they go to end of life. Okay, now that means when they stop making drivers, they stop making the GPUs and everything else. Well, you never know. China still makes the GPUs. So just to let you know that. But when it comes to the end of life, to where they stop making drivers for the GPU, yeah, I can see where you need to take and move up into the matters of a new GPU. But usually when that happens, you get like 4 to 5 to 6 to 7, 8, 9. How many years? They got GPUs that are out there that are 2 years old that still run great with games and everything else. you know, it's not that you got to run out there and get the best of the best of the best unless you got a deep pocket. And if you got deep pockets, that's a good thing, because that way, it gives more money to AMD and nvidia. When they take and upscale the pricing to make you pay the highest price, excuse me, instead of you getting the medium and the middle kind of price. When a new one comes out, you're always going to be paying high end prices. Okay, doesn't matter if it's a low end GPU, a mid end GPU, a high end GPU. Any new GPUs that come out, graphics cards. Any new graphics card that comes out, they're going to mark it up, trying to make their money, and then it slowly backs itself off over the time of years. It's a monopoly that the graphic card makers have to make money because they spend money for the shipping and everything else. I understand they need to make money too, but they got to be more realistic, with the pricing. I mean, not everybody in this world. Okay, let me put it to you this way. And I've been trying to make this point to my friend for years. I told him like this. And he even asked me this question. He's like, well, why do you wait so long to buy a graphics card? I'm like, well, one, graphics card come and go. Okay, that's not what I base my PC on. My personal computer, I do not base it on just the GPU. The graphics card, the discrete graphics card. I base it upon the motherboard. And I seen a comment or two, a comment in my one of my vids about me bringing up the fact of the motherboard. Well, yeah, I'm bringing up the fact of the motherboard. Number one, it controls the RAM, the speed of the RAM, which controls the speed of your GPU, which controls the speed of your processor. Everything has to mix through your motherboard. So if you get a crappy motherboard, you better expect to get crappy speeds. Even if you got a high-end GPU and you do a crappy motherboard, you're going to get crappy speeds. I'm going to be honest with you about it. So just to let you know that, everything depends on the motherboard. Where I start my builds, and, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, why do you do that? I start my builds right there at the motherboard. Okay, that is the heart and foundation. That is the heart and foundation. Well, not the heart, but it's the foundation. It's the body. It's the body of the whole computer. That controls your RAM, processor, graphics card. That controls your power supply. The voltage going from the motherboard to the components goes through the motherboard, controls all the speeds through the motherboard, through the BIOS, and the BIOS is connected to what? The motherboard. So if you don't understand the concept of why the motherboard's more important than your processor or your graphics card, well, then you'll see why you keep fighting every time. If you start for the faction of, and I want you all to get this, and I want you all to hear this, and don't take this wrong. When you start off with the processor first, like everybody says, oh, start off with the processor first, then plug your motherboard underneath it. No. That right there is like, to me, it's a falsification. I'm back. I'm old school. I went back in years and stuff, all the way to the beginning of when computers started coming out. That's why I'm over 50 plus years old. So now the thing is this. I always started at the motherboard. The motherboard is your key body to your computer. It's the one that takes up the whole 90% of the back of you know, your your PC case. It takes up the 90% of your CPU case, or your computer case. My bad. So understand what the body does. The body controls your random access memory, which controls the speed of your processor, which controls the speed of your GPU, which controls the flip flop in between the processor and the GPU that has to all go through the motherboard. The power for the GPU, some of the powers for the GPU have to go through the motherboard. You have to understand what the motherboard does. It controls every aspect part of trying to get um, for you to get the speed you want out of your computer. Is basically the motherboard is what controls that part. And this is where everybody makes the mistake. You think you can plug your processor into the case without a motherboard. You think you can plug it into your case without a motherboard, then go right ahead. I love to see how the output of that is. And how much frequency and FPS you get out of just plugging your processor into the PC case with no motherboard. So understand that concept. Understand the concept. I love to see how you can plug in your graphics card with no motherboard. So I love to see you get the FPS out of that. And I love to see you plug the random access memory into your PC case with no motherboard. And your M.2 drive or SSD drive or whatever. So you look at all the factors. What keeps everything going is the motherboard. I just wanted to bring that out to you real quick so you all understand. You get your power from the motherboard if you know how to set every little mark in the BIOS, and you know how to set your BIOS up carefully and correctly, then that's where your power is going to come from. Now, you think your power is going to come from a program that's set on the Windows. No, 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 no. Think again. Doing it through the Windows programming, you lose between 30 and 40% if you try to use a controlling program to control your BIOS up on Windows. You lose between 30 and 40%. I'll be nice and say like 35% of use, because it doesn't give you every little switch that you need that the BIOS has. See, the BIOS has more than the switches than what is set into the BIOS, because there's hidden switches that nobody tells you about that's on the motherboard. See, manufacturers put in hidden switches for technicians so they know that the switches are there. They know they can turn them on and off with BIOS updates. So they know they can turn the switches on and off in your BIOS with BIOS updates, and they know they can, with software updates, driver updates, they know they can go in there and use a program to turn switches on and off in your BIOS. So if you don't believe me, look it up. So It's something you really have to think about when you build your computer. The first thing is you got to start at the heart, and that is your motherboard. I just wanted to bring this up real quick to y'all. I know this is like a 15-minute video. I'm going to push it up to like about 18 minutes and, just tell you this is my thought. And I hope you understand why I think the motherboard is the most important thing that's in your computer. And this is the reasons why. Is because of all that it controls and does. It has little insy bincy wires, hair style, wires that are inside that motherboard that's nothing more than a human hair. The thickness of most of them wires in that motherboard are no more than a human hair. So I want y'all to think of all that power going back and forth, receiving and transmitting all the way through that motherboard, and how much it heats up, cools off, and everything else. You know what? Your motherboard takes a brunt of heat. It takes a brunt of heat. It takes up 90% of the heat. And your fans are only cooling off the front of it and the 10%, but that's not the back of the motherboard. It doesn't cool off. See, because there's nothing when you got your motherboard plugged into the case, you got nothing in the back cooling it off, unless you got fans that go on to the other side. But that's up for another video. But anyway, if you like my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. It would appreciate it. The more subscribers we get, the better we get to our mark at 1,000. And the more watch hours, if you watch the videos, it would be much appreciated as well. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. Until the next time and the next factor, we will see you on the next one.